Okay, cool. And so then the door is a bit easier. We'll just once again, we'll put some texture in here. We'll do that first. And you know, that's how these carpenters do it. Probably right there. So then we come down a little bit with a little bit of color. See, it's value, but I'm using the value to represent color. That's so important. Alrighty, and now that I have that, so easy to just go ahead and put in a little bit of texture for the wood. And I've designed this, you know, intentionally. This drawing is supposed to be easy. I hope it is. Everything's rough, everything's loose. You know, you don't need your beach house to be like totally perfect. They usually aren't, and that's what gives them character. Just lighten up. The most important thing from this drawing was this basic understanding that everything goes back to a vanishing point, which is along a horizon line. And so we literally made a point as the sun, and we've literally made a horizon line out of, well, the horizon. Everything's going back to that. But it's such an opportunity to use all the lessons that you've learned up to this point. Okay, let's make this, see if this is a pretty dark value, but let's get it even darker here on this edge to make it stand out. I use that whole value scale. So you can, ooh, really dark, really dark. Okay, maybe a little bit of dark right under there. Okay. And once again, maybe we'll get this a little bit darker so that it stands out. Okay. And the door itself, oh, I never did put a doorknob on it. We'll get a little bit of a doorknob right about there. And we'll even give it a little bit of a plate. Just making it up here. That's where you put your key, I guess. Okay. And there we go. And so that's going to be a form, right? So that doorknob's going to come out a bit. And here. Give that a little bit. And a little bit of shadow. Okay. And a little bit of reflection. Okay, good enough. Alrighty then. And then, of course, it would have a cast shadow, wouldn't it? That doorknob, because it sticks out. So a little bit of cast shadow right there. And I think I want to darken that wood up just a little bit more. You really stand out a little bit more. Okay, good enough. And then the door itself. You know, we could have a light door, but I'll just make a darker door. It'll be better contrast. Of course, I could get really fancy with this door, putting in ornamentation into it, and it would all follow the lines of perspective, wouldn't it, if you were doing that? But, you know, it's just an exercise after all. We don't need to get too crazy with it. Just a flat door, but it probably has a little bit of grain to it. So we'll put a little bit of wood grain, but it's going to be maybe a little bit broader. Alright, and this would have a bit of a shadow under here. Ooh, that's going to make a big difference. See, look at that little bit of shadow underneath there. And a little bit of shadow from here, from this frame right here. Alright, that's pretty good. Okay, cool. Well, you know where else you tend to see a little bit of shadowing is right up here in this corner. We'll make this a little bit darker. Even though the light's coming in through here, but where the ceiling of this porch hits this wall, we'll add a little bit of shadow there, just because things do. They tend to get dark in the corners, and that should make things pop a little bit more. Okay, cool. It's really looking three-dimensional now, isn't it? Okay, and so then finally we'll go ahead and we'll do this right down here. And I just kind of figured this maybe concrete slab, but it could be wood, could be anything you want it to be. But the lessons are all the same. Having it be a little bit darker at the base, right here at the bottom, and going lighter as it goes up towards the top there. So you can see I'm doing it flat, sort of horizontal here, because I want it to read as well flat, right? But I want to mix it up a little bit because, you know, concrete's not totally without texture usually. Got a little something going on to it. Maybe even gets a little dirty here or there. Who knows? A little bit more dark right behind this door, under here. In fact, all these areas underneath the here, a little bit darker underneath that siding. Okay, you see, ooh, that makes a big difference, that little bit of dark in the corners. Maybe even a little bit of swirl to this. Just thinking about how concrete's laid down. All right. So you can see I've shaded it, and I've shaded it darker at the bottom here, and not too crazy, but not totally flat either, because we want it to have, you know, a sense of texture over real things. Very rare in nature that you find things that are just totally flat. But anyway, so we're going to smooth it off here. Just a little bit of this paper towel, that'll be perfect. See, and that's giving it a nice, smooth yet somewhat textured look to it. You know, if I wanted to, I could probably go back in with my eraser a little bit, give it a little bit of interest, and just see what happens. Just experiment a little bit. Maybe make this line a little bit softer over here, bring a little bit more light into it over here. Okay, let's see how that works out. Okay, a little bit harsh, but if I smooth it in, let's see, does that, ooh, that blends it up a little bit, and just giving it a nice sort of effect. Is it concrete? I don't know. But it's more interesting than if it was just a flat color, that's for sure. I'll bring out those values, a little bit more contrast here. So introduce a little bit. Oh, once again, you see how I'm reinforcing my patterns that were there. I'm not just going totally random. It usually really does make for a better drawing, reinforcing the patterns that you have. It makes for a better texture. Okay, there. I don't want to blend that too much. I like that a little bit. And now, so we have this casting a shadow here, this post, but it would also cast a shadow down here, of course. So once again, that would be lined up with the vanishing point, right? You could even take your handy dandy, where do I go? You could even take your handy dandy ruler, and you know, there is my vanishing point. I could give myself a little bit of a guideline on that one. Go something like that there, nice and light. Nice and light. You guys might not even be able to see that. And then, of course, I'll just darken this in. And notice the temptation would be to go this way, but I don't think that that would be the best because all my texture has gone this way horizontally. So when I'm shading it in, oh, you know, it's slightly more effort to do, you know, 100 short strokes rather than 10 long ones. but maybe my effect will be much better. It'll be much more natural, like this shadow is really laying down on top of the concrete, not being a separate thing from it. Maybe I'll make this a little bit softer. Ooh. And then this is a little bit darker here at the base. And a little bit softer as it goes away. And do I want to clean this up a little bit? Maybe. Sure. Regain my line there a little bit, where the sun is hitting that a little bit right there, maybe. Who knows? And let's see. We add a little bit of, just to break that up a little bit. And a little bit of softening to it. Oh, that's a pretty darn believable shadow right there. Maybe darkest right here in the corners. And I think, are we done already? Maybe. Maybe. Hopefully, I really wanted this drawing to be not too much of a brain bender, but still be a really, credible drawing there. Something that, really looks good, that you can be really proud of. Cool. And so since it is an exercise, you will want to go ahead and put your name down here. So what is this? Mine is Kuhn Robert. And the period number. We'll just say it's P1. We'll just pretend. And oh, exercise. As I'm making this exercise, I'm not sure. In the classroom, you'd know for sure, but we'll just call this exercise 1A. Because it's actually an easier version. At first, I was starting with those two barns, but I thought, well, people were still having troubles with that, so hopefully this one's even a little bit easier. And title up on top here. You know what? I don't even want to put a title up on top here. So we won't do it for this one. For this one, we'll just keep it nice and clean. And there you go. I hope that you really enjoyed this process.